So good morning, everyone, and happy pre-Friday. As I always like to think of it, one more day. Everybody, please, as you're listening to weather, we are in spring of 2023, but we are still getting some really, really strange weather out there. And tomorrow is supposed to be really bad in our area. So everybody plan forward and make sure that you're taking care of everything you need to, both at your facilities and your families and yourselves. So I'm just going to go through a few updates with you, and then I'm going to actually turn it over to B. We've got a couple of visitors with us, so I'm going to let them do their presentations directly after I go through what I have on my agenda. So welcome, everyone. And again, thanks for being here. I know every time you're with us, you're giving up some time from some other things that you would be focusing on. So first of all, federal COLA and quality improvement dollars. I know that you have gotten your budgets and everything that's out there April 7th. We need to have all governance documents in. Again, April 7th, we need all of the documents in because, again, we've only got so much time. The Head Start or the region has decided that all of our documentation needs to be in for our COLA by the end of April. So we're pushing it to try to get everything done and to get everything in on time. If you're having or experiencing any issues, please let us know so that we will be able to work through our process with you. But again, governance documents are due. That means your parent policy and your board need to have their signatures on those documents that are required for your federal COLA. Early childhood block grant increase, people have been asking about it, and we are almost there. And when I say almost there, we finalized on our side of it with city law department, and we've worked with the law at CPS over our intergovernmental agreement, or the IGA. And so we've passed it forward. And so we're ready now to start documenting and getting ready for the ECBG increase. It will be, and it will include a 5% COLA that will be going out on ECBG. And we will need to, just as we do for federal COLA, we'll need to document that the staff salaries are actually increasing based on this because it is going out as a COLA. So we'll be working with you as soon as we are get everything in the system. For those of you who have Head Start and ECBG, you will be doing two different packets, one for federal COLA, and you'll be doing a second one for your ECBG increase as well. So it will be coming very, very soon to a mailbox or an email box near you for you to start your work on your ECBG increase. So we've worked through our internal process, which is what we needed to do. And so we're almost there, getting ready to document that out to you. DFSS staff changes, just want to make sure that people understand that we have had one resignation. And that resignation, for those of you who've been working with her on budgets, Alejandra Ortiz, who is a manager over our program admin unit, did resign. And so anyone who is in need of reaching out to leadership on budgets, on contracts, on any of that, and I said it before, I just want to make sure everybody understands. For now, until we actually post and actually are successful in hiring the new manager, I am doing double duty. So that is now my responsibility. So if you need something, don't hesitate. And some of you don't hesitate to reach out to me, and some of you don't want to bother me. But what I'm saying to you here is if you need something, please don't hesitate. I'm managing the team so that we can definitely work and make sure that everything is still pushing through on all of your contracts, budgets, etc. So one of the things that I am happy to say, and we've wanted to do this for a while, and we've been in COVID now for several years, but we're now planning to return to face-to-face meetings. And the plan is to do this by April of 2023, which is just next month. And so we're working now and trying to identify spaces for next month and the next couple of months. So there's going to be more information that's going to come out to all of you regarding our executive director and program director meetings. And also, and I see those hands clapping. Yes, I want to see faces. I want to be up. I want to be in the room with all of you. I am, I love seeing your faces, for those of you who will turn your cameras on when we're in these meetings. But I really do want us to be together again so that we can do what we've always done, and that's just work together on what we do here in the city. And so I'm happy to say to you that we're going to be moving in that direction. Also, make sure that your parents who are representing you on our citywide parent policy council, please make sure that they also know. We've talked about it in our meetings, and actually one of the first requests was for us to have parents go back to face-to-face. And so we have agreed to do that. And I see the question. Yes, we will be doing both. We're required at the city right now that if we're saying we're doing face-to-face, that we also offer virtual. And that's why we're trying to make sure that we can solidify spaces that will allow us to be able to have virtual feed into the meeting for those who cannot be there. But again, I want us together. I want us together in a room. I want that camaraderie. I want us to see each other. We've been away from each other for a really, really long time. And it's really time for us to get back together and get back to business in front of each other. And so I'm looking forward to it. And so more information to come on that. And please make sure that, when we're having meetings, we want every one of the funded entities that we are working with to have representation in every one of our meetings. And so again, work with your staff, make sure that they understand what it is that we're planning to do. And that is to come back in front of everyone. And so get everybody's head wrapped around. Next month, we're planning to go face to face. We have had our children in programs. We've had our teachers in buildings. It's time for us to come out and do face to face. I know, Head Start did their conference here face to face. So I think we're ready. And that's the direction that we're moving, everyone. So look forward to seeing you up front and personal. And don't either one of you, when you see me, talk about how gray my hair is. Get it out now, today, on this chat box. But let's not talk about that when you see me face to face. All right. Of course, I'm just joking here, but I look forward to seeing all of you very, very soon. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn it over to B so that she can introduce the individuals who are here to present to you. So B, it's all yours for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarita. And good morning, directors and DFSS staff. I am very excited to be able to introduce you to two of the important resources that we have out there that are helping us to address water quality. Right now, the emphasis is on freeing the lead from the water, but then I'm going to also be bringing you another invaluable resource for lead paint. That's coming up a little later, but it's a pleasure. It has been a pleasure to work with these two individuals over the last, I'd say, year and a half, 2 years. And so they're going to be bringing you free resources, emphasis on free. So first up is my colleague out of the Department of Water. Her name is Angel Hawthorne. We're going to hear from Angel, and then we're going to turn it over to Eliza Grady, who is the manager over Lead Care Illinois, and she works with Elevate. So Angel, if you're on, if you can turn your camera on, there she is, and unmute yourself.
Technology, right? On behalf of Commissioner Chang, the Department of Water Management, thank you for asking me to come and participate. And as I like to say, spread the good word about what we're doing here at the Department of Water Management when it comes to lead service line replacements. B, does someone have some slides? All righty, we can go to the next one, which would be the first one, or maybe the second. All righty, here in the city of Chicago, we have roughly 387 plus or minus lead service lines all across the city. They're found primarily in single family and 2-flat properties built before 1986. When we talk about lead service lines, it's very important that we explain that there are two sides of it. So you have one pipe, but part of that pipe is owned by the city. The other part of the pipe is owned by the homeowner. So when you probably have seen in the grass near the curb, this round piece of metal, it's called a buffalo box. And that's where the water can be shut off. So from that round circle in the grass, street side, that's public. City owns that part of the pipe. From that round piece of metal, house side, that's private. and the homeowner, property owner, owns that part of the pipe. And we make that distinction because when it comes to lead service line replacement and pipe repair, we can only use city funds to repair the part of the pipe that we own, which is why we've been very fortunate to get some grants and loans to be able to do the private side of it. So when we talk about lead service line replacement, we are talking about replacing the entire service line, which is from the water main in the street all the way into the house where the meter comes in. Alrighty, next slide. Couple of things have happened since we started doing lead service line replacements. Earlier this year, a new law went into effect, which basically says that if we touch your line or another utility touches your line somehow through a repair or something else, the entire service line has to be replaced. And so we've started doing that, and we will do that for free. And when I say free, I mean free, 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 free. If there is a leak or a break on your service line, we will replace it for free, all the way from the water main into the house. Normally during winter months, a lot of times, that's when we tend to see most of our leaks and breaks. And that's the program that this falls under, by the way, leaks and breaks. We would normally have about 4,000 or 5,000 leaks or breaks within a given year, particularly in the cold weather months. And with that in mind, then that means that we would be doing anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 lead service line replacements just under this program. Okay, next slide. So as I said, it was free. And the reason why I keep saying it's free is if you want to replace the service line yourself, it will cost you anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000. And I'll explain later on in part why that cost is relatively high. So under the leaks and breaks program, if you or a resident has a leak, we ask that they call 311 and report that they have a leak. Or they may see that they're having low water pressure, which could be a result of a leak. Either way, call 311 to report that issue. An inspector will come out, he'll take a look, he or she will take a look around and try to determine if there is in fact a leak, and if there is a leak, where that leak is located. And that in and of itself is important as well. If that leak is on the public side, we will repair the leak and replace the entire service line. If that leak or break is on the private side of your line, you're supposed to patch it, repair it, let us know, and then we replace the whole thing. What we sort of off the record advise is if you have a leak or a break and it's minor, it's not flooding your basement, it's before the meter, just go ahead and wait. You still need to report it to 311, otherwise we won't know that you have a break. But just kind of hang tough if you can, because we will then come in and replace the entire service line. If it's a large leak and it's causing issues and problems, you do need to stop it. But know then that we will come back and replace the entire service line for free. And then we will try to do that within 30 to 120 days. We do have some allowances depending on what's going on with weather, but by state law, we do have to accomplish this within a prescribed period of time. Next slide. So we also too, when we talk about private side, because we don't own that pipe, homeowners have to give permission. You know, we can go ahead and do the public side because we own that, but when it comes to the other side of the pipe, you have to say yes. So when you have a leak or a break, inspector comes out, determines that you have a leak or a break, puts that in our system, then a team from our leaks and breaks outreach team will then either call you or stop by, explain to you what's going on, explain that you are eligible for this program. You will then get a filter pitcher or a pitcher with filters that will remove lead. Once we explain to you what the program is and you say that you are interested, we ask you to sign what we call a right of entry form. We cannot enter your house unless you sign that form. So once you sign that form, you're not 100% committed. You can still say, no, I'm not interested. But we ask that you sign that form, which allows the inspector and other DWM workers to come in, take a look at the line, look at what's going on, take measurements, try to make a determination of how they will then replace that service line. And then we will walk the homeowner through that, explain that to them, get their buy-in. And once we do that, there is another form. It's called a property owner agreement form that the contractor sits with the homeowner, goes through, explains every single thing that we're going to do. And then they say, yay, they check the initial. If for whatever reason, the homeowner says, no, I'm not interested, I don't want to do it. IDPH is requiring that we ask homeowners to sign a waiver, which essentially says that they were offered a free lead service line replacement and they declined. That waiver also states that that homeowner is required to to disclose if they sell their property that they were offered a free lead service line replacement and said no. Also, if that property is a rental, they are required to provide the tenants with a pitcher and filters forever. Next slide. And we're supposed to also give that list to Department of Public Health. We don't know what they're going to do with it, but that's what we're required to do. So when we talk about the work that we do, it is construction. We will be digging holes in the street. We will probably dig a small hole in your basement, depending on how your pipe comes in. Sometimes they come up through the floor, sometimes it comes in through the wall. If your basement has been refinished, we won't fully restore it. But if we create a hole in the floor, yes, we're going to fill that hole back in. If we have to cut into your drywall or your paneling to access that service line, we will not put it back. We also do not do any other interior plumbing at all. It is basically from the water main into the house. And if you do not have a meter, you will get a meter anytime that we install a new service line. And that's a city ordinance. It's not an option at all. Outside, we will resurface the streets. If we break up your sidewalk, we'll replace that. A lot of people want sod. At this point in time, we don't do sod. I know that we are talking about doing that, but right now it is hydroseeding. And if it is hydroseeding and it doesn't take, or it turns out to be weed seeds, the contractor is responsible for coming out and taking it out and trying it again. Also, I know a lot of people are sensitive about trees. Contrary to popular belief, we do not enjoy removing trees. But if that tree is in the way and there's no way that we can do what we need to do to service you, we will have to take it down. But we let you know, we ask you to agree. And then later on, you can get with forestry and see if you can get another tree in another location if you choose to. Other than that, let's see. When we talk about the work that we do, there are a couple of technologies that we use. One of them is sort of open cut, where we literally dig a trench to replace the pipe. The other one is what we call trenchless, and that's the method that we use most often if we can. There are certain areas of the city where what's in the ground doesn't allow us to use the trenchless technology, and we literally have to cut. But if we can, we use trenchless, which is basically two pits. There's one in the street and there's a small one in the basement. We then pull in a new pipe at the same time that we pull the old pipe out. So under that, restoration is very minimal. No disruption to sidewalk, grass, sod. Depending on a distance of a tree, it's safe. There's no impact there. Sometimes, depending on where the private sewer drain is, there's no impact there. So whenever possible, we do try to use trenchless. I mentioned before that if you do not have a water meter, you will get a water meter, and water meters do in fact save money. They really, really do. About 3 months after construction, we will send a test kit just to test and see where lead levels are after service line replacement. Next slide. So in addition to the leaks and breaks programs, there are a couple of other programs that we have. One of them is a part of our capital improvement program. So whenever we are out and we are replacing a water main in the street, as well as a sewer main, and that's replacing the sewer main, not lining it. Whenever we're replacing either one of those, we will also do lead service line replacement for, say, the entire block. There are several projects going on now where we are in fact replacing the water main, and then the entire block gets offered lead service line replacement. And again, homeowner has to opt in. We've run into many instances where homeowners have said no. We try to convince them, bring them over to our side, but at the end of the day, it is certainly their choice. And if they say no, they say no. Another program is what we call the Equity Led Service Line Replacement Program. Under that program, we receive HUD funding. We try to do 600 a year. And the good thing with the funding for this particular program is fortunately, right now, it doesn't go away. So if we don't use all of the funds for 600, it has been carrying over to the next year so we can actually do more. So again, under this program, it's primarily for single family 2-flat properties built before 1986, have a lead service line. So if you own a home, live in the home, meet the income requirement, which is the HUD AMI, we will replace it for free. See, is there any other nuance with that one? No, that's it. Oh, one thing I did want to say when we talk about lead service lines, sometimes I've heard people say that they're only in certain areas of the city, and that's basically not true. They are everywhere. If you think about it, they're single family and they're 2 flats built before 1986, every single neighborhood in the city, with the exception of downtown. The other program that we have, which just started toward the end of last year, and Elevate and DFSS have been very helpful and instrumental in helping us identify daycares, is basically for licensed daycares within the city of Chicago. I believe there are roughly 2,800 licensed daycares. We have put an equity focus on the daycares that we are targeting right now. We have limited funds. About $4 million is what we have. Senator Duckworth gave us $1 million last year. And so we have enough money to do 120. So out of the 28 or so hundred, how do you get down to 120? So the department was involved with the city's Office of Equity and Racial Justice. We created an equity cohort, and one of the projects that came out of that was a program targeting daycares specifically to replace lead service lines. So within that program, if you are a licensed daycare, you are in one of our targeted or priority areas. So priority areas are 3 neighborhoods that we have targeted. And I hate to say targeted because that doesn't sound right, but I trust that you know what I mean. Inglewood, Austin, and North Lawndale. And then we also will, if daycare tests high and is referred, then they can also move into the program. And again, it's free. The other program that we have is not free. If you happen to have $20,000 to $30,000 around and you want to replace your service line yourself, we will waive permit fees up to $3,100 just for you. Other than that, one thing I will ask is any assistance, outreach, passing the word along will be more than welcome. And next slide. That's it. That's all, folks. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Good morning. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So that slide stated for licensed daycares that they can receive services for free. So are there any resources for any daycares that may be unlicensed? So we do have some daycares that are license exempt. So are there any resources for them, or this is strictly for, I know what it said, but I'm just trying to ask the question.
I understand. At this point, it is for licensed daycares in the city of Chicago. Okay, I either bored you to death or I answered all your questions.
So there is one question in the chat, excuse me, Aisha.
Okay.
Is this information available on the city web that you just went over?
There is a website, it's called Lead Safe Chicago, leadsafechicago.org. There is information on there. We are in the process of updating our city website, and it will be available there. I have flyers I will be happy to send you if you wanted to share that on your website. You could let me or B know, and I will happily send it your way.
Perfect, thank you.
I have one question. Is there an application process to be considered?
For,
The lead program for daycare centers?
not really, no.
Okay.
If you qualify and you let us know that you are interested,
Mhm.
we will send you some documentations. We call it an application packet, but basically what it is a right of entry form, and what we call a daycare form that just basically tells us who you are, name of your daycare. Then we also ask if you are the owner of the property. If you are not the owner of the property, the owner has to sign the form saying that it's okay. The
Okay.
owner doesn't necessarily have to be there during the pre-construction meeting or during construction, unless of course they want to, but they can sort of turn that over, so to speak, make the daycare their designee. And so we just ask that you fill out those forms, you sign them and get them notarized and return it to us.
And Angel, I'll just piggyback on that and say that we're already coordinating on those daycares where I've received the lead results that fit for Angel's program. So we're already doing that, Dorothy. And I know you do your own lead. If there are any that you're concerned about, just let me know and we'll try to expedite that with DWM.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so there was one other question. Are we including home daycares? Absolutely. Your family child care homes are really what we're zeroing in on because we know that they're owners of those properties. But you will be receiving an email from me. I'm working again with Angel and with Eliza, who's coming up, and she'll go a little bit more into the work that they're doing. Angel, I also put up your website, daycares at cityofchicago.org, where they can get more information.
But the email, yes, they can, yes, and I'll gladly make sure they get the information they're seeking. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
And thank you, Angel, for joining us. I think we're going to go ahead and move over to Eliza.
Okay.
Eliza.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Eliza Grady. I'm here representing Elevate Energy, specifically Lead Care Complete, which is our interior lead and water mitigation program available to home-based and commercial-based childcare providers in the city. Before I start with my slides, a quick thing I just want to note, this reminded me with one of the questions just asked, is our program we are going to be offering lead and water mitigative resources for free, and this is available both to currently licensed childcare providers in the city of Chicago and providers pursuing their licensure in the city of Chicago as well. So with that, if we could pull up my slides, I'm happy to go over them with everyone. Okay, so here we have a basic intro slide just introducing the program. It's known as Lead Care Complete. It's facilitated by Elevate Energy. I recognize a few names and organizations I believe we've collaborated with. So a quick reminder, and for those who are unfamiliar, Elevate Energy is a nonprofit based here in Chicago. We work in environmental justice and equitable initiatives, and our goal is essentially ensure that no matter where anyone is in the world, they have access to clean and affordable heat, power, and water. So we can move forward with the next slide, please. And so with this particular presentation, we're going to go into water safety work. I believe B mentioned earlier the organization Lead Care Illinois. That is our statewide free lead and water testing program for childcare providers in the state of Illinois. I'm very confident everyone here is aware of testing requirements. If you're not, please take some time to check that out. It's a really helpful resource. For those providers who have tested and detected lead in your water, we also administer Lead Care Complete. to use Angel's word, it's free, free, free. Again, want to emphasize that. And it will help you on the interior side of your mitigative journey to remove lead from your facility, drinking and cooking water. We also host water safety trainings and we also administer emergency water access and restoration programs. You can go to the next slide, please. So just to prepare all of us for what I'm going to go over, I'm going to go over a little bit of lead and water background. I'll keep that brief. Again, I'm sure we're all aware of the consequences of lead and water. I'll go into what our program looks like, how we've been performing, our outreach, what we would like to collaborate on, also maybe a call to action for providers on this call. And then I'll end it with Q&A if you have any questions or comments on the information I went over. So as we all know, with lead and water testing, first we have providers must test all cooking and water resources, and those are shared with DCFS. And this is kind of where Elevate and LeadCare Complete fit in, is with the actions required after you've detected lead in your water. Those can be very costly, very hard to navigate, but you are required to develop a mitigation plan. So that key step of developing that plan is where LeadCare Complete is going to fit in. And ideally, the improvements we install at the child care facility will result in lead no longer being detected in the retest phase. We can move forward again. Why is it important to remove lead? As we know, it's very damaging to development and learning for children, and it can definitely have a physical impact on adults. But seeing that we all are here, for the general health and to ensure a safe and healthy learning environment for kids, we're very concerned with making sure we remove lead based off of their health and their development. We can go on to the next slide again. So here's some basics on the LeadCare Complete program. Like I said before I started my presentation, we serve childcare providers in the city of Chicago. You can participate if you have your license or if you're pursuing your licensure. We also participate with home-based childcare providers and commercial-based childcare providers. All resources provided in the program are completely free. If you look down under funding, this is partly provided by a water infrastructure grant from the US EPA. And then, of course, a large part of that is also matched by the city of Chicago, specifically DFSS. A unique offering of LeadCare Complete that I think is particularly helpful is we do an on-site assessment for each facility. So what does that mean? As the child care provider, what that means for you is we come out to your facility with a licensed plumber and LeadCare Complete team member, and we walk your facility to identify interior sources of lead. So this can include plumbing on the private side, the side that is owned by the property owner. So this could be, maybe you have galvanized piping, you have some faucets that don't meet lead removal certification, and some interior plumbing upgrades. We also install under sink filtration systems and then point of use filters. And something I'm really proud of is we specifically partner with local and licensed plumbers who are familiar with the communities we're working with, and many of them are small business owners. So it's definitely a very localized program. And these resources and services are available now through the end of August 2024. Similar to the lead service line replacement program with the city, we do operate on a first come, first served basis. Funds are limited. So just to get that holistic approach to lead and water mitigation, we definitely encourage people to enroll as soon as possible. And we can continue on to the next slide. And so our goal with this is to serve 200 to 250 childcare providers in the city of Chicago. Like I said on the previous slide, this service can include faucet replacement to install certified lead-free faucets and plumbing infrastructure, the installation of under sink filtration systems, and water bottle filling stations, point of use filters. And one reason, we really want to focus on interior mitigation is yes, lead service lines are going to be the primary source of lead, but just due to some building regulations in the United States, many products such as faucets and interior piping weren't required to be lead-free until the late 80s, with some emboldened regulation outrolled in 2014. And so what we're seeing, particularly in the home-based facilities, that just have a little bit of an older infrastructure is, yes, we can remove the lead service line replacement, and yes, we definitely should. But just to ensure a full lead-free environment, the best thing too is to follow up with interior mitigation, just to ensure that you don't have any lead coming from inside the house, essentially. And similar, our goal is also to serve providers in the Chicago's opportunity zones and just make sure that those who have been historically left out of the conversation or left out of resources have access to this as well. So we can continue the next slide. And so what does it look like when you participate in Lead Care Complete? We essentially have 4 main steps. So the first one is outreach. We like to engage the providers directly. So this may be, you may get a phone call from a Lead Care Complete team member. You may be referred by, DFSS contact. And we try to go over what the program, what you can expect. Once we have made that contact and you've expressed interest, we'll send you an enrollment form, which I'm happy to include in the chat after this presentation as well. And it's essentially agreeing to terms and conditions, understanding what participation looks like, and then also providing the necessary information for our team to follow up and prepare for your assessment. Just step 2. The assessment, essentially a licensed plumber and team member will come out to your facility and just check all of your plumbing. So this can include, seeing where the water access is, evaluating all faucets, evaluating all interior piping, and they make a custom scope of work to identify the specific sources of lead at your facility. Once we've identified that, again, we want to make sure you're comfortable with the suggested upgrade. So we'll go over that with you. Once we have your approval, we go to mitigation, where we actually install these free resources. Once we've completed mitigation, we will direct you to Lead Care Illinois, which is our kind of sister program, who, like I said earlier, does the statewide lead and water testing. And that's essentially just to confirm that the upgrades we installed were successful. And so currently within the city of Chicago, we've successfully worked with 33 childcare providers. 80% of those are home-based and 20% have been commercial. We've conducted 24 site assessments, and we have installed mitigative upgrades at 14. In total, this has come to about $30,000. So with our program, I think something important to note is we really don't have a specific project cap. So if you are in a situation where you do require, maybe very minimal mitigative work, we can cover both material and labor to do that. If you're in a position where it may require a little bit of a higher price tag, we are able to cover that as well. And again, with the assessment, having the plumber there, installing the upgrades themselves, and then the labor required to install, that is all completely covered by the program. Really, all we need the provider to do is just say, yes, I would like to participate, enroll in the program, and then just agree to move along at every step. And then, overall, we are really very proud to share we've been able to work with these providers to ensure that over 250 children have access to clean lead-free water. And so our goals are essentially to continue building out our pipeline. We'd like to engage 10 to 30 providers a month. By the end of August of this year, we're hoping to enroll 100 to 150 providers and just expand our development. So you will be hearing from us through our new marketing program, and that could include meeting providers where they are. So we've learned, direct outreach is really important. So we will be rolling out a text message service just to better keep you informed without really requiring the overhead of having a meeting, sitting down for an email or for a long phone call. We'll also be engaging on social media, and we're hoping to start a new direct mailer initiative where we actually send providers like yourselves water pitchers, so you do have immediate short-term mitigative options. And when you're ready for a more long-term solution, you'll have the material necessary to reach out to the program team. And so just kind of giving some background on how we all collaborate. It is somewhat circular because we all are working with similar populations. So as of now, with the outreach we've been doing, it's essentially just been calling providers based off of the information given to us by our partner organizations. And we've seen about a 30 to 40% success rate. So we're hoping to go more directly, engage differently, like I said, meet providers where they are. Part of this looks like, sharing data that's been agreed to by the providers to be shared, and engaging both on the community, the hyper local level, and then utilizing our contacts and resources, either through the US EPA or with statewide agencies. So for agencies like DFSS or Department of Water Management, we believe ways that can help are, one, sharing resources about the program. If you have strong relationships, informing those relationships that this is a really great resource, again, that it's free, and it kind of provides that holistic approach to lead and water mitigation. If we're out on the site, we have really informative materials to share with providers. And we're hoping, again, we'll have digital, written, and in-person contact, because this really is kind of the cherry on top with lead and water mitigation. And for providers that may have around 10 parts per billion detected in their water, we believe this program's a really great fit too. So this is kind of how we all work together. And I believe we have maybe one or two more slides left we can go to. Okay, great. So this is kind of my closing slide. If you have any questions on the program, you can email me directly here. I'm also going to drop in our chat a link to, let's see. So this is going to be the program landing page. It'll have basic information on the program, what those steps are. And then to enroll, you can enroll through that link. Here's also a direct link to our enrollment form too. It takes about maybe 1 to 2 minutes to fill out, and it's just some basic contact information. For providers on the call, I encourage you to take a look and fill it out. And once you do, a Lead Care Complete team member can be in contact with you to further discuss if this is a good fit for you and your facility. So I just want to say thank you to everyone for being on this call and giving me this time to go over this really great opportunity. I will kind of step out of presentation mode and open it up to questions and comments, and happy to talk through anything we feel needs further discussion.
Hello, this is Juana Herrera. Quick question for you.
Yes.
The under sink filter, that would be something that would be installed so that, okay, under sink is throwing me off. It just means
Okay.
that it's positioned under the sink and it's filtering the water that's coming out of the faucet. Is that right?
Yes and no. So it is
Oh.
installed under the sink. You're very close. I just want to make sure I'm communicating this correctly. And it will filter the water that comes into that point where the filter is installed. So it won't be directly out of the faucet, but it'll be essentially maybe the 2 foot of piping leading up to where the water comes out of the faucet. And yes, it's installed under the sink. The idea is it's very discreet. And we also like to provide up to, or at least a year's worth of replacement filters to ensure that, again, you're not absorbing that overhead cost for that mitigative resource. For filtering directly out of the faucet, that'll be your point of use faucet mount filter that's installed right where the water comes out.
Oh, so it's twofold. So
Mhm.
it filters it even more.
Yes, we can do that.
Great.
Yeah. And
Great.
so, yeah. So if you are in a situation where you need that level of mitigation, we'll probably do an under sink filter and then a faucet replacement with a lead-free certified faucet.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Well,
Yeah, I'm happy. Oh, sorry.
thank
Continue,
you,
B.
Eliza, and thank you for expanding. I know before we were working with those that are 10 and above parts per
Mhm.
but now 2.1, 2.01 and
Mhm.
above,
Yes.
we will be sending you our recommendations. And hopefully
Amazing.
our providers that are here will
Mhm.
open up and work with Elevate and with
Yeah.
the water main. So
Yeah,
thank
that would be great. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you everyone for your time and for your questions. Like I said, my email's there and you can also reach the program team through the contact information on that website.
thank you. Back over to you, Saray.
Thank you. Thanks, Eliza, and also thanks, and Angel, for being with us this morning. It's been great information. Just again, one of the focuses that we've had for several years here at DFSS, and that's to mitigate our issues around lead in water. And all of you have really been working with us as we've been going through this. And we wanted to make sure that you had other information on other projects and programs that are going on out there. And Angel, I thank you for saying free to remind everybody that this is a great opportunity and people who can should take advantage of it. So thanks again for taking time this morning to be with us. We're going to go ahead and, Alberta, did you have a question? I see you came off mute. Okay, thank you. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. I'm going to let other staff chime in, and as always, I'm going to continue to monitor the chat box to see if there are any other questions that come up while we're going forward. So go ahead, program update.
Good morning, everyone. This is Aurelie Julian. For program admin updates, we have CPPC. The next executive committee meeting will be on April the 4th, and the full council meeting will be on April the 18th. With community assessments, it will be due on May 3rd. We did send out some communication through the CSD update. We provided some resources for agencies to go ahead and complete this process. So we sent out the community assessment guide, the data tables, and the data website. This will be able to give you the resources that you need to complete the community assessments. And this is a requirement for both Head Start and Early Head Start program models. If you have any questions, you can reach us at salesplanning@cityofchicago.org. Now for meal reporting, so we, as you know, we have had some limitations with gathering this data. We will be sending out some communication directly to Head Start, Early Head Start, CCP, and expansion agencies funded by DFSS to request meal reports. This information will be due to us on April 7th, and in the communication, it will provide the details of what information we will need and the context of it. If you have any questions, once information is sent out, you can reach out to me directly at Aurelie Julian at cityofchicago.org or Jennifer Santana at cityofchicago.org. That would be all.
Thanks, Aurelie. The one thing that I do want to say, yes, the community assessment is required for Head Start and Early Head Start programs, but it is recommended for PFA-PI that you look at your communities and you see what's going on, so that you can assess for yourselves what's going on in and around you as you're planning forward for your programs over this next year. So we do recommend that you participate in this process as well. Thank you.
All right, good morning again, everyone. I just want to remind you that our April Health Services Advisory Committee subcommittee meetings will be going on again in April. And in those meetings, you have received the links through our CSD updates. If you're not receiving those updates, then you need to let us know so that we can get those out to you. But please inform your staff, and we encourage parents to be involved in these subcommittee meetings. They're all scheduled for April. So watch your CSD updates. The other thing that we're going to do in those meetings is go over our new DFSS COVID-19 mitigation plan that became effective March 8th, 2023. So we encourage you all to join us. For disability referrals, we have already reached out to your disability service coordinators and let them know that by April 14th, we want to receive those referrals. They need to send those referrals to Nancy Millsap and Andrea Turner. The reason we're getting them a little earlier is because CPS will begin its cutoff for summer evaluations in May. So we want to get those referrals early. We want to be able to work with your disability coordinators to get all of the information back to complete those referrals so that we don't have any issues when we send families over to CPS to be evaluated. And then you just heard about all of the wonderful free lead remediation services. Both presenters, all of the information that they gave free for our daycare programs. So I encourage you to work with your individual sites and the owners of those sites to be able to work with these two programs. And that is all I have for health and safety. Turning it back over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, B. Who's doing our fiscal update for today?
I'm here today, Frederick. Good morning,
Thanks, Frederick.
everyone. Want to go over the current expenditure rates for FY22. Be aware the closeout is in progress. Final FFR report due 4/30. Looking at the Head Start, which goes from December to November, we're at 86%. The early Head Start that goes from December to November, we're at 76%. Early Head Start CCP runs from December to November, we're at 76%. And Early Head Start expansion that runs from December to November, we're at 70%. Current expenditure rates for FY23, Head Start, which runs from December to November, we're at 3%. Early Head Start, December to November, we're at 3%. Early Head Start CCP runs from December to November, we're at 2%. And Early Head Start expansion that runs from December to November, we're at 1%. ECBG runs from July to June. We're currently at 42%. And our CCAP that runs from July to June, we're at 47%. Finance Department updates. HHS FY22 for ARP and CRRSA budget extensions to 3/31/23. Finance will extend the budget end date on current budgets. No revisions are needed. Reach out if your budget has not yet been extended. CARES budget will be extended to 6/30/23. Awards have been distributed. Finance will extend the budget end date on current budgets. No revisions are needed. If a revision is needed, please reach out to your finance contact as soon as possible. Base FY22 is in preparation for closeout with final report due on April 30th of 23. As it relates to HHS FY23, the budget review and processing is in progress. December 22 accruals have been collected. Once your budget is approved in the system, you should submit the invoice and iSupplier ASAP. Monthly invoice submission is required as soon as your city budget is approved in the system. COLA grant application is in progress. Budgets and budget narratives were due 3/27. Please respond to any feedback and/or corrections as prompt as possible. FY23 childcare invoices should be submitted through 2/28/23 period covered. Monthly invoice submission is required. Any 22 invoice accruals report should be submitted as soon as possible. Any 22 invoices not reported on accrual will be rejected. FY23 PI/PFA invoices should be submitted through 2/28/23 period covered. Monthly invoice submission is required. Any 22 invoice accrual reported should be submitted as soon as possible. Again, if any 22 invoices are not reported on accrual, it will be rejected. Anticipate final budget revision deadline is May 15th, pending COLA award distribution. Please be on the lookout for COLA communications in the coming weeks. iSupplier, it's always a link there for training. New site form requirement. Some links are listed in the PowerPoint here. Contacts Laverne and Teresa Lopez for the Head Start, Early Head Start, CCP, and expansion. If it deals with corporate, RTL, Laverne and Teresa Lopez, and an email is there. Childcare, Selena Ruan. PI, PFA is Sharon and Teresa. And I think that's it for the finance updates. Thank you.
Thanks, Frederick. And so one of the things we want to remind everyone is we're still working on CARES. We're not there yet. We are nearing the end of the HR module that we anticipate coming online in just a few weeks. Just want to make sure that everyone is understanding that there's still opportunities for trainings. And if you need something specific, if there's something that's not working, something that your staff are trying to do, and they're having some difficulties, we're asking that you please reach out to us and let us know so that we can make sure that you're able to fully utilize the CARE system. For those of you who are still utilizing the COPA system, if you are using it for anything other than CCAP, we need you on the other side. We need everything in the CARES system. As you know, we're nearing the end of a program year. I know we're already there, just a few months out from the end of a program year, which means we're going to be getting ready for our PIR reporting that's due with HHS. In order for us to pull our PIR report, everybody's information will have to be in that system. And so we're working towards that. If individuals are needing some assistance in getting their information into the CARE system, again, just reach out to us and let us know what you need, because we want to really get this system up and going, and we want to make sure that everybody's able to fully utilize it. So if there's any questions or any need for support, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. Any other slides, Mara?
No, that's all.
All right. So we wanted to make sure that we brought to you what we know was very vital information, especially around lead and water. We know that there are some agencies, and it's due to the communities that you're in, your lead levels are a little bit higher than what they are or should be. And so we're reaching out and making sure that we are bringing you all kinds of supports. And so as we're able to find supports out in community and able to get that to you, we will be bringing that information to you through our meetings as we move forward. Again, as a reminder, we're looking forward to April 2023, when we will be able to get back in face-to-face mode. Yes, we will. In one of the questions, will we have an opportunity for online? And yes, we will still be able to do that, at least for the time being, so that we're able to make sure that everybody's able to fully participate. And so again, we're looking forward to it. Can't wait to be in front of you. Can't wait for that first meeting. Can't believe that it has been since at the beginning of 2020 since we've been able to be upfront and personal and in the same space. I've been at a couple of your facilities for visits, but I really want to be in this meeting with all of us so that we can talk about it, think about where we've been over the last couple of years, and think about where we're going over the next couple. So just again, looking forward to it. Do have a couple of questions in the chat box. Do we want all HR into COPA, from COPA into CARES? Aisha, we're working on that system right now, the HR module. And as soon as we can finish that HR module in CARES, we're going to be working to get everything out of COPA and into the CARES system. And then everybody will be fully using CARES, because you won't be using COPA for HR anymore. And so don't stop yet. If you get a new staff, if you need to update anything, please continue to do that in the COPA system, so that when we transfer information over, all of your information will transfer over into the new system. But just want to make sure that we're getting there, we're moving forward and getting these modules completed. And so the next one to come online will be HR. Is there a way a staff person can receive in-person training for CARES? We're working on some in-person training, and as soon as we know that we've got everything scheduled and able to do that, we will be sending out notifications regarding some of the in-person training that we'll be doing. So yes, there will be some of that, because we do know that everybody doesn't learn the exact same way, and we want to do it across multiple ways, and we definitely want to make sure people get what they need. So yes, we will be doing some face-to-face. Early Childhood Block Grant includes PFA and PI. So when I'm saying Early Childhood Block Grant, that is PFA and PI. Both of those are on that state block grant. And so what I mentioned earlier when we were talking about, for example, the community needs assessment, it is required by the federal government for Head Start, early Head Start programs that we annually do that. And then every 5 years, we do a large community needs assessment. But what we're saying and what I'm saying to everyone is it's great if you all are doing it for all programs in your community, because it gives you a lens into what's happening, not only in your community, but what's going on around you. So you can better plan for what's, coming. Are there, have you seen some decreases in populations in your community? And there are some shifts in our communities. Are there more programs around you than there were 2 years ago? You want to know what's going in and around you so that you can be much more planful. And that's really the purpose of that community needs assessment. What kinds of things have happened since COVID? We know that there's a lot of programs and resources that were in communities that are just not there right now as a result of everything that we went through in COVID. There's some medical offices that didn't reopen. There's some other kinds of resources that didn't reopen after COVID and still haven't reopened. And so looking at your community through that lens so that you know what's out there and what kinds of needs your parents might have that they're not able to find in your community. It's information that we all need. And so we're asking everybody to think about that. The PFA contracts are, again, our Chicago Early Learning RFP that we did in 2019 actually ends in 2024 with program year going into 24-25. And so we're nearing the end of our current RFP, and we are working on now thinking about what is the next iteration going to look like. And so I've had a couple of people reach out to me regarding that fact, regarding where we are with PFA, PI, et cetera. And so just know it doesn't end in 2023, it is 2024. So we've got a little bit more time, but it is that time for us to sit down and really start working on what's the next iteration of contracting going to look like through Children's Services Division for all of our early learning funding. So more to come. It's coming, people, it's coming. And it is a lot of work to put it out there. But as soon as we get to that point, we will come back to you and start talking to you about that RFP. But lastly, I just want to remind everyone, and I spoke about it before, that we are right now putting out in my team, they're working on the support service contracts, all of which will be coming out later this summer, early fall. All of those support service contracts, which is for professional development and training, which is for program design and management, for family community engagement, all of those are coming out. Not family engagement, I'm sorry, we just did that one, so it has another year. But family and community outreach will be coming out. Our medical providers, our dental providers, our transportation provider, all of those RFPs are right now in the works, and we're working to get all of those out onto the ground so that everybody who's thinking about the support services operates a business where you are able to provide those kinds of services to children and families across Chicago. Those RFPs are going to hit the ground again later this summer, early fall. The RFP for all of our funding, and we are having to make some determinants here in DFSS about what the next iteration or next RFP will look like, won't be coming out this year. It will be going out in 2024. So the RFP that will go out in 2024 is for contracted services for early learning programs. And so how do we go about getting additional PI slots? And so Claudia, one of the things I'm looking at right now is the underspend, and I mentioned it to everyone before. If we're underspending our grant, then we get to a point where, are we putting more slots out there? Are we going to compress our number of slots? And so we're in discussion right now about doing some compression. And I will explain more about that as we get further into the conversation. Right now, I'm looking to see what PI slots, because you're not the only one, Claudia, who has an idea about it. But if you want, are interested in any slots, PFA or PI, If you have not already turned into me a slot reallocation application, you need to do so, so that as we're nearing the end of some decisions that we're making about the number of slots that are out there, I need to make sure that those of you who have some interest, that you've given me that information so that we can look to see if it's something that we'll be able to do. Because we're trying to right size all of our grants. And right now we're looking at our PFA and PI due to the massive amount of underspend that we've had on that grant, to the tune of $12 million one year, $8 million the next. And so again, we're looking at those grants and looking to see exactly what they're going to look like in the next iteration. So again, if someone's interested, you need to be communicating with me right away as we're going through this process of discussion. Tried to respond to all of the questions that I've seen in the chat box. We're not looking to add, meaning more PFA or more PI in our contract. We're not looking to do that, Kim. What we're looking at right now is trying to right size the grant and trying to make sure that we're able to expend all of these dollars. It's been multiple years of underspend. And so all of the dollars have been going out into grant funds, but what's been happening at the end of the program year is we're leaving $8 to $12 million on the table, and we can't continue to do that. And so I'm looking at exactly how many slots are out there. And so I'm not looking to add new slots. I'm looking to compress and make sure that the number of slots that are allocated are in the hands where organizations are actually going to be able to utilize all of the slots that they have. And so that's what I'm looking for right now. If we put out an RFP, again, an RFP opens the door for other individuals. To your question, Kim, about new agencies. If we're putting out an RFP, that's the opportunity for new organizations to actually apply for the funding.
Hello, Sarithal.
Hi, Juana.
So the early learning RFP is strictly for PIPFA, is that right? Or is that
The
childcare
last
too?
one we put out, Juana, if you remember, was for all of our funding. It was Head Start, Early Head Start, CCP, and PFA and PI was in our last RFP when we did it in 2019. We're making some decisions and some determinants about what that RFP is going to look like, and trying to make sure as we're getting ready to do that, that we've right-sized our grants, again, because of the massive underspend on our grants, and that's what we're looking at right now.
Okay, I just, that completely clarifies what I was thinking. So, okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Not seeing any additional questions in the chat that I have not responded to or someone else hasn't responded to as we were going through the meeting. And so with that, what I will say, as always, is I thank each and every one of you for your spending your time. I know that you're very busy, and every moment you spend with us, you're taking away from something else. And I know we all try to multitask when we're on these meetings, and it doesn't quite work out the way we want it to. And so I really do. I thank you for all of what you've done and all that you will do. LaShonda, I see your hand up before we go. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm sorry. Good morning. How are you?
ahead.
I had a question about how early, no, not how early, how soon can our parents that's transitioning their children from EHS, CCP to PFA go into the system and do their Schoolman application? Is it open now, or is there a certain time frame?
The Schoolman application will open April 11th for the next program year. And so those applications will be up and going on that date for parents who are, looking to put their children into programs.
Thank you. I had a question about that yesterday. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And so again, everyone, as always, please take care of yourself, take care of your families, and take care of all of your family that you have there with you at the organizations and in the communities that you serve. Can't thank you enough for all of what you do each and every day for all of our children and families across the city of Chicago. Can't do it without you. As you know, we don't directly operate anything. We're here in support of you. And so I thank you, and I thank you, and I thank you. There's one other question that's come in. So for your children that are 0 to 3, that are currently in your 0 to 3 program, if they're currently in and they applied and they've gone through the whole process, and we have what's called a CPS ID for your children, they won't need to reapply in the system if they're remaining current with you. They won't need to reapply because they're in the system right now. They've done their Schoolman application. They've got their CPS ID. They're enrolled in your program. You've attached funding. You're good to go. If there's a new parent who wants to enroll into your program, either now or for next program year, they should be doing that application online. That Schoolman application is what then generates through the system, through the CPS system, that required CPS ID. And so I know I've reached out to some of you asking that you go into the system and make sure your families have a Schoolman application, because some of your families were being served, but we could not enroll them in CPS, for example, or in the ECBG program, because there was no ID that connected them into the computer system on the CPS side. And for that reason, I was reaching out to people, and I do have a few more of you who are going to be getting some emails today, because you have children that you're serving who don't have a CPS ID. And we're going to need you to work with your parents to get them into the Schoolman program or Schoolman application, so it generates that ID as well. There was a glitch with it. Everything's been worked out. Now that I know it's working, I'm going to send out some other emails so that everyone can do it. But again, if you've got children that you're currently serving, moms have already done all of their due diligence and they are enrolled in your program, even though they're changing age groups and they may be changing a funding stream, you don't need to go through the whole application process again. But if a parent dropped this program year and you actually took them out of the system, then yeah, they need to go through the process again. But for all new parents who are looking to enroll in your programs, 0 to 5, they need to go through that Schoolman application so that it generates that CPS ID, so that we can make sure that those children in your program can actually be counted. So that when we're doing our enrollment report to CPS for ISBE, we want all of our children counted. And we do have some still right now who we know you're serving who needs a CPS ID in order for those children to count. So those, for some of you, I'm going to be reaching out after this meeting. Some of you have already reached out to, and I thank you for everything you've done to get those applications in. So again, seeing no more questions in the chat box and don't see any other hands raised. Want to say again, thank you for all that you do. Take care of yourself, be safe. Be safe with tomorrow's weather. Understand it's going to be quite crazy out there. Be safe as you travel. Make sure you take care of yourself so that you can take care of others, just like on an airplane. Don't forget to put that mask on you first so that you can take care of everyone else. So have a great one, everybody. Thank you, and talk to you soon. Again, remember, looking to seeing you face to face next time. Take care, everyone.
Yeah.